Hi, it's me, Carrie. It's kind of late, I guess, to do a video. You know, um, I said I would do one Friday, so it's early Saturday morning, but here it is. Well, I have some good luck this week. I've just started working temporarily. Which I'm happy because people with Asperger's, we have a hard time with employment. And I'm happy that in the meantime I have a job that I'm doing. So I feel like at the moment my life is worthwhile. I have something every day to get up and do, and I feel like I'm contributing somehow to the world. I've had lots of trouble with employment in the past. So I'm happy about that. I just finished watching one of my favorite movies, Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks. Recently, Forrest Gump celebrated its 20th anniversary as a film. It came out in the summer of 1994 when I was 7, soon to be 8 years old. So I never got to see the film in the theater because of course I was too young. But I might go see it in the theater now if I'm able to, since I love the film so much, and I would pay to see it in the theater for sure. Forrest Gump, as we know, is different. He's obviously made fun of because he's different. He's not always bright and everything, but he's very intelligent in certain things. I've always felt that Forrest Gump shows traits of Asperger's, even though it's never been proven. And I'm not sure if the creators of the movie had that in mind when they created Forrest Gump, but I've always felt that Forrest Gump has Asperger's syndrome. And I feel that as myself, who has Asperger's syndrome, I feel that Forrest Gump shows traits of Asperger's syndrome. If you look at the different things he does throughout the movie, in the first scene, where you see him on the park bench talking to the woman, you can kind of tell that he has a hard time with body language, because the woman is reading a book and he's talking to her, when most people would realize that if somebody's reading a book, the body language tells you that they're not interested in talking to you or talking to anybody. But Forrest Gump, doesn't see that, and therefore he ends up talking to her, and he offers her a chocolate. And, he's being rude, really, but he doesn't realize he's being rude. He just thinks he's being friendly, because that's what he is. He's a nice guy, he's a really friendly person. But he's being overly friendly, which is something that people with Asperger's often have a hard time with, because they're not aware of social situations, they're not aware of body language, they're not aware of when they're too much in somebody's space. There are people with Asperger's who are too close to people, too trustworthy of people. I myself am the opposite. I'm not trustworthy of people enough. I'm too far away from people. I'm too much of an island in many ways. So, I'm not trustworthy enough of people. I probably should be more close to people and push myself out there more forward to people, but I don't. So just things like that. Some of the things that Forrest Gump says, like people with Asperger's take things literally. So like the scene where Forrest Gump is awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor by President Lyndon Johnson, and Forrest Gump says that he's been shot, in the rear end. President Johnson sarcastically says that he'd like to see that, and being a person with Asperger's, or you take things like that word for word. You don't actually realize that it's sarcasm. People with Asperger's have a hard time understanding sarcasm, and they have a hard time realizing like words mean different things. So when I was a kid, I used to think that if somebody was pulling my leg, it meant they were pulling my leg. I really actually thought it. you know. And he's the same way. He thinks that, well, because he's told something is a certain way, told to do something, he actually thinks he should go do it, so he does. And he makes a fool of himself, not realizing that he's made a fool of himself, And different types of things, like where he jumps off the boat to see Lieutenant Dan and his boat crashes, not being aware that something he was doing, Or, like Forrest Gump lives his life very much straightforward. He sees the things, I think, in the world as very black and white. He doesn't do the bad things in the world that sometimes people often get into, which is something that people with Asperger's, I find, tend to be more. We tend to live life more by the book, so we don't do anything bad, we don't have vices that certain people have. We're honest, upfront type of people, and he's the same way. He doesn't know how to not be nice to people, how to not treat people well, yeah, so I think that many things about Forrest Gump show. I've always felt that Forrest Gump has Asperger's, and maybe he doesn't, maybe that's not the intention, but I've always found that that's the character, and I feel that his friend Bubba is kind of the same way. He has Asperger's too, Bubba's obsessed with shrimp, and people with Asperger's, they have an obsession with something. My obsession is history, politics, and his is shrimp. And I'm not sure what Forrest's obsession is. Maybe people. I don't really know. We don't really know what his particular obsession is. But we do know, of course, that love and relationships, friendships are important to him. Relationship with his mother. I can relate to that because I have a strong relationship with my mother, and my mother's really the closest person in my life to me. Relationship with his friend Jenny, and I don't have a girlfriend at the moment, but I have a friend who's a girl, and she's a good friend of mine. And in some ways, that friendship is sort of like that too, special bond. And just people in general, he has a great relationship with, and he's good too. So. For me, the movie has always been an inspiration to me, Forrest Gump, even though he lives a 1,000,000-to-1 shot, and even though his life is not totally realistic. I mean, most people don't become a multi-millionaire. They don't, have all these accidents happen to them and inspire all these famous people, which in some ways is kind of ridiculous, And I realize it's just a movie, It's overblown, certainly, his life in many ways. But the fact that people could say that you're not going to succeed, you can't do this, and the fact that he defies all odds, and he has success, and, he's has an unconditional love and inspiration to people, inspires me, I've always loved the film. Because of the character and because of the history and stuff in it, and I still love it. It always brings joy to myself when I see it on TV. It's a movie I never get tired of watching. I'll always watch it if it's on TV. I own the film now. I've seen it many times, but I still love it. I get touched every time I see it. I absolutely love the film. It's great, and I think all of us need that kind of inspiration with a film like Forrest Gump, So I don't mean to keep rambling on about Forrest Gump, but it's a great film, and for myself personally, it's a lot of inspiration, just for someone who doesn't always think good about positive about himself with Asperger's. It realizes that you can have success, and you can, like, you are loved. People will accept you for who you are, type of thing, So I guess the best thing to say now is, like Forrest Gump says, that's all I have to say about that. So until then, bye for now.